Hey YouTubers, wanted to make a quick update video here on the Goolrc equipment since I did an official review of it back when I first got it. Now that I've had time with it, I can tell you a little more that the ESC has a bit of an issue with burning out the cooling fan because those fans are only 5-volt fans, and the ESC has 6-volt and up for voltage out to the servos, which then also affects the cooling fan on it. So they will burn out, and then you got to cut them off. The shroud here that goes over them, because these ESCs are pretty much just a, fully encapsulated piano black encasing around the whole thing. There's no servicing to them. They're made to break and then buy another. So if you want to keep running it and whatever, like me, then you take it to yourself to cut it open with a cutoff wheel from a Dremel tool. You got to be careful about not getting the caps right there. As you notice, they're on the side with the power wires from the battery. And I just went across with the cutoff wheel along these small little pieces here that have vents between them, and then very carefully along this side right in front of the caps, and then along here, and then I just pried it up and broke it off from over on this side. It's just cheap thin plastic. So I was able to remove the fan, cut the wires off, and then I can put another fan on there. Here's the wires now. Right now I'm just letting it be passive cooling, allowing the heatsink to be a little bit more open instead of trapped under a burned out fan. And then I'll get another one, and I think that the 30 by 30 by 70 millimeter ones will go back in there. I am going to get a computer fan because they are 12 volt, usually ball bearing, brushless too. So they might run a little slower RPM, but I'll try to find a higher RPM one. I'll make another video of that. I'll probably just use some screws to screw it down into the heatsink fins to get it to stay put. And then maybe also pass another zip tie over it to hold it down. And anyways, that's how to do that. You just have to be very careful with the cutoff wheel that you don't damage anything. I was lucky enough to practice on a burned out 150, the first 150 that I bought. Well, not burned out. The power switch became useless and I couldn't really run it anymore. I could not calibrate it to the remote control, so it would not liven the motor, not having calibration of your throttle brake functions. So that happened because the wires frayed right where they go into the switch box there. Now this one's busted open because it knocked into something here on the buggy and broke off the plastic, top, but it still works. Luckily enough, this is my second one. And I'm already bashing it up pretty good, but it's hanging in there. I glued the wiring to the body of the ESC so that it doesn't move around and fray the wires inside. That's what I figured out and has been working so far. So that's that for as far as the update on the Goolrc equipment. It's hanging in there. It's running along pretty good. All the racing I've been doing, I've been hanging in there with all the rest of the guys with the Teakins and Hobby Wings, running in fourth and third place. Haven't gotten a second or first because of bad tires, but now maybe that'll change because I got some good tires. Anyways, so that's that for the info. Hopefully that's helped you guys who want to, maybe modify other ones that have similar look to them. Just be careful with the cutoff wheel, and hopefully maybe you have a burned out bad one to practice on, and then you'll get another one. I mean, because these were cheaper than normal. They're like, the 150 is like $70 and the 120 is like 40, and the 80 amp they have, it's ridiculous. It's like 20 bucks, something like that. 80 amps actually good for SCT racing. The 120 and the 150, well, you can put them on SCT as well, but they're really good for buggy and truggy. And this is the 2000, the 1900 2000 kV motor from Goolrc that runs up to a 6L, and it is a beast. I'm able to put the solid foam tires on this thing and run it 60 miles an hour down my street, chase cars. So it's a real fun setup. it's been lasting really well. I've cleaned out that motor, have yet to replace bearings or the rotor on it. It still looks good. These HRB batteries, I did a unofficial review video on the 5 cell. Now I've gotten the 4 cells. The 6050C 4 cells are just amazing. They have a really great runtime. I mean, I ran it for like 25 minutes straight on a track, no lie, and it just has a lot of power. They're really great. This is a really good setup. This is the old 1.0 electric race or pro chassis, and this setup is just phenomenal. It really runs good, and generic as it is, but that's what I like to do, is find the underdogs. So far they have their little downs, but there's a lot of ups to it as well. There's plenty of power, reliability, performance is great. It's right up there with those who have the Tikans that I've tried, and the Hobby Wings that I've tried out. So yeah, it's pretty good. So I'm gonna keep going with it and making other videos of things I find about it, and to modify it or keep it running or whatever, for those who might be interested. So thanks, guys.